Hi, and welcome back to another video where we go through the HTML5 tutorial on FreeCodeCamp. So the next challenge is to nest an anchor element within a paragraph. As we know, anchor elements are basically links. So this is a link, it's an A tag or an anchor tag. So what's the actual thing we need to do? I should nest the existing A element within a new P element. And the new paragraph should have a text that says view more cat photos, where cat photos is a link and the rest is plain text. So I think I can place this anywhere. I'm sorry, I can't actually because it's the A link. So what I will do is I will create a P element and wrap the entire anchor tag like this inside of the P. So the P element is the container for the A element. And now the difference is that I should write the text view more outside of the link and cat photos inside of it. So I think this should work. And it does. Awesome. So let's move on to the next challenge. My network is very unstable right now. So this works. Let's move on. So let's make dead links using the hash symbol. So if you want to make a link dead, or basically inactivate it, you can use the hashtag or the hash symbol as the href value for the attribute. So right now we have a link and this should be replaced with a hash symbol. So I'll just replace it with it and now it should be dead. So now if I click on it, of course this is not really working because I need to run it, I think. Yeah. It's quite interesting that it doesn't really point. Or I think what it does is that it just reloads the actual link. So what they're saying is sometimes you add A elements before you know where they will link. So the use case for a dead link is if you don't know where it will point or what it will point to at the moment, and also if you want to change the behavior of a link with JavaScript, which is a completely different topic. But for now, we should know that the dead link is used whenever we want to leave it as an empty placeholder until we know where we want to point it to, as well as if we want to change the behavior of a link, we can do that with JavaScript later on. But for now, this works, so I'll just move on. So now we want to turn an image into a link. So images, they don't point to anything by default, but we can make them point to something if we nest it inside of an A element. Basically, if we wrap a link around it, then we can make it clickable and it will point to wherever you want. So images can be turned into links like this. So I'll just add I'll turn it into a dead link, which is what they want. So I will nest the image inside of an anchor tag, and this should do it. So right now it's clickable, and we see it's dead, so it doesn't point us to anywhere. How much I can click how much as I want, and it doesn't point me to any other location. So if I run this, it works, which is awesome. and I'll just move on. As I said before, my network is very unstable. So the next challenge is to create a bulleted unordered list. I'll do this by using the UL element. So the UL element is an unordered list, which is by default a list of items in which every item has a bullet point. So you open it with with a simple opening tag, and you close it, and inside of it you have LI elements, which stands for list item. So I should remove the 2p elements, which I think are these two. So I'll just remove them like this, and I will create an unordered list like this, open it and close it, and I will add 3 things that cats love. So milk, cheese, and I'll copy this and add a 3rd item, which will be, I don't know, fish, I suppose. So we have 3 things that cats love, and if I run it, I pass the test. So now we're looking at another type of list, which is the ordered list. And the difference between the two is that the ordered list will print out numbers for each item. So if I just change the UL to OL, so from being an unordered list to being an ordered list, then we see how the bullet points just turned into numbers, where each number represents the order of the item. So now, actually this is wrong. So what I want to do in this challenge is that I want to copy this list, and I will paste it underneath this paragraph, which is top 3 things that cats hate. And I will replace the U with an O, so from unordered to ordered. And what do they hate? So I don't know, dogs. I'm just making something up right now. I think humans, and I don't know, computers or something. So I'll just run this, and it works. Great. My creativity isn't at the top right now. So create a text field. What is a text field? So in HTML, input elements are known as fields in which you can write text, and this type of element is probably among the most useful ones in web development, because it's the way that a user can input text, which can be sent to the server and eventually stored in a database and so on. And this is how we create systems and applications. So inputs, even though they are quite simple in their essence, they are very crucial in the everyday web development. So I should create an input element with the type text below my list. So I'll just write it here. So I'll just make an indent, and I will write input type text, and I will close it, because as they say, the input elements are self-closing. So you don't close it like this. You don't do this. This is wrong. You just have one single tag, and this should do it, and it does. Before I move on, just notice that we actually got an input text, so I can write anything. Hello world. Right now this won't do anything, but yeah, this is how you create an input with the type text. So you have, as it suggests, the attribute, you have different types of inputs. So you have number inputs, you have text inputs, password inputs, which are text, but they are passwords, so you don't see the actual characters. You have email inputs, which have a specific validation, which is built into the modern browsers, and so on. You have a bunch of different types, but we'll probably get into that later on. So if I just move on, now we want to continue building this input field. So right now we just have the type. It doesn't do anything at the moment. We want to add a placeholder. And what is a placeholder? It's text which is displayed inside of this frame, which indicates what this input should have. And it's only shown before you type anything. So if the input is empty, then you can see the placeholder. Once you start typing, it disappears. Now I will demonstrate this by adding the placeholder attribute, and I will say insert name like this. And now we see the actual text, insert name. So it's basically an explanatory text inside of the input field, which helps the user know what he or she should insert. So if I start writing hello, we see that the placeholder text is gone. And if I clear it out, we see that it shows again. So if I just run the tests, it doesn't work because I have to change the actual placeholder value to this text. So cat photo URL, I'll copy it and paste it like this. And now hopefully it runs, and it does. So let's move on. So let's create a form element. So in HTML, you usually build web forms that submit data to a server, and you don't have to use anything else than JavaScript in its essence. So how do you create a form? You just add the form element, and it is also a closing one, so you have to close it with a tag, and the action will actually submit the form to that page, and there you can it will actually redirect you to that page too, if I'm not mistaken. And the data which you send inside of the form will also be sent to that page, as a post method basically. And there you can process it and send it to the basically save it to the database, or do any type of processing on the server, which has to do with how backend development works, but that's a completely different topic. So for now, I just want to add a form. So we have an input element, but it's not inside of a form. So we want to wrap it inside of a form like this and close it. Don't forget to close the form. It's very, very important that you close it, because otherwise it will treat everything else as a form. So never forget to close it. And you want to add the action attribute. And what it says is that the action attribute is where you will point, or where you will submit your data to. So you submit it to a URL, and there you can receive the actual post method and process it basically on the server. So I will assign the attribute action attribute to this URL, and I will run the tests, and we see that I passed the test. So let's move on. We don't have too much left from this HTML part. So I want to add a submit button to a form, and this is actually how you submit it. So you just add a button with a type of submit, and if you click on it, it will send you to this actual page, and it will submit the actual post method to that page too. So if I just add a button with the type of submit and buttons have a closing tag, and I will write submit. And if now we see the actual button too. So if I write something, hey, and I click on it right now, something is happening, I think. Yeah, we saw something happen. So it basically sent a request to this URL, and the thank you and the actual text that we get back is what after processing the response. So it's a quite interesting topic, but the details are something that you cover in a more extensive topic than this one. This is just basic HTML, but it's good to know that that's how you interact with the server in its essence. It's not the only way to do it, but it's generally a good way.